Alright, here's your weekly market analysis. We're going to start off by looking at the 1 week performance heat map. Taking a look at the entire S&P 500, we could see everything did fairly well. FANG stocks did fairly well, except Amazon. Banks did fairly well. Financial services, pretty much everything did fairly well. We saw a lot small caps do fairly well this week. If we take a look at the S&P 500, we broke above that resistance at 424.53. Our next resistance is that 428.23, with that we're slightly underneath. And then if we get rejected at 428, watch for support at 418.74. But the SPY S&P 500 is still bullish, getting a little bit extended, but I would just watch for that next resistance at 428.23. If we take a look at the Dow Jones, we did bounce from that 50 SMA from last week, breaking above that 337 and then above that 341. We're holding above that level. That is fairly bullish for the Dow Jones. We can see that the 5 and 9 SMAs are curling up. So the next price target for the Dow Jones is going to be that next resistance at 347, then 348, and then of course if we get back above there, it's going to be all-time highs at 352. Now looking at the Nasdaq, we'll take a look at the QQQ. QQQ is still holding up very well, still above that 342.55. We did break above our price target at 348.10. We are currently retesting that resistance as support, so whether we do bounce off it or not, look for something like this. So we are at that support, so if we resume, that would be a bullish continuation. If we do lose that support, watch for support underneath at 342.55. Now looking at some individual Dow components, starting off with JP Morgan, we had the stress test. We did bounce from that low, breaking back above that 50 SMA and above that 152 level. We're right back into this channel with resistance at 155.93. So that's going to be the next price target for JP Morgan. And then if we could break above there, it's going to be those all-time highs that we were at last week with resistance at 166.90 or all-time highs. Now another Dow component is going to be Home Depot. We broke back above that 50 SMA as well and 307.48. Now the next price target for Home Depot is going to be that tight resistance at 316.90, and then above there is going to be 322.60. But the Dow Jones are looking fairly strong. If we take a look at some winners that I mentioned last week, PayPal above 373 was bullish, and we saw that this week. We still have that price target for PayPal at 302 and then 309, which is all-time highs. Right now we're currently retesting that support at 289, so watch for that continuation, and then resistance at 302.57. And then if we're going to look at PayPal, we got to take a look at Square, also retesting that support at 233, resistance at 249.90, and then price target for Square is going to be all-time highs if we could get back above that 249. And then we saw some Chinese stocks finally break out towards the upside, starting off with Alibaba. It was trending towards the downside for the last couple months. We're finally seeing a breakout on Alibaba. If we take a look at it from a weekly chart, you can see that bearish trend line right here in magenta. And then on a daily chart, we see 3 days of bullish trending, breaking above that resistance at 225.45. Now what to watch for Alibaba, I would be watching for a retest that I have right here. Watch for it to retest 225.45, and then the next price target for Alibaba is 241.46. So Alibaba is looking nice for either a trade or whether you want to add it to your long term. And if we're going to take a look at Alibaba, let's look at JD. JD is also breaking out, resistance at 78.76. It is almost there, but if we do break out of there next week, watch for it to retest, which you see right here. And then if it does retest, that would be your continuation. Next price target for JD would be 87. And if you look at it from a weekly chart, it is currently down about almost 27%, so that'd be a good add to your long term if you are bullish on the Chinese stocks. Now another stock that did very well, Nike had its earnings. You can see that big gap up on Nike on Friday. Now I don't have a price target for Nike going into next week. I would just say watch for Nike to continue going up to the upside. But I also do have my eye on Starbucks. You can see it's also breaking out towards the upside out of this purple magenta trend line that it was trading towards the downside for the last couple weeks. I have a price target for Starbucks at 118. If we do, I would just say watch for that retest off that purple magenta trend line. That would be a good buy off the continuation if it's a good breakout. Now moving over to the crypto market, you can see that we did close on a daily chart underneath that 200 SMA. I did mention last week a daily close under that 200 SMA was bearish. So next price target for Bitcoin is still going to be that 28,000, and then underneath that is going to be 23,000. Just remember, Bitcoin is the leader, so however Bitcoin moves, expect for other cryptocurrencies to follow the same way that Bitcoin is moving. And if we do move over to Ethereum, if we take a look at Ethereum at a weekly chart, I did mention on my last video that Ethereum was forming a ABC Elliott wave correction toward the downside, and you can see that developing here. We broke below that 2000 level. If we lose that 20 SMA, watch for Ethereum to come down here to that 1300 level. If you look at it from a daily chart, it's going to be the same thing. We're currently sitting at that support that we hit last week here at 1700. If we lose that 1700 level, support here at 1300 for Ethereum. But that's it for technical analysis. Remember, we do have the job report next week, first Friday of every month, and we are expecting an addition of 675,000 jobs to be added. So we'll see whether we hit that number or not. But that's going to be it for this video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Adios.